Welcome in, guys. Back and forth podcast here. Stat Matt, Joey G, as always.
Now you let me say my own name, man. You can speak for me? No, I got
it. Go ahead.
No, you good. You good. I'm listening to you.
Trying to bring a little bit light to a episode that, man, we just cannot catch a break with these tragedies, if you will.
We've done way too many disappointing or at least bad mood episodes.
Yeah, and
starting with Delonte West, right, then to Kobe, and
now this.
Definitely sucks. Not something we want to do. I mean, I think talking about the Celtics after they blow a lead or they do shitty or UNLV is bad. This is way worse.
Yeah, by far. And for those that may not know what we're talking about, obviously over the past few days, COVID-19, also known as the coronavirus, has basically taken over the United States, and along with, some countries around the world, such as South Korea, China, Italy, just to name a few. And it has basically, for the most part, shut the sports world down. And a lot of other aspects of just everyday life have been temporarily shut down due to this very infectious disease that can spread very quickly, and I think should be definitely taken pretty seriously.
Yeah. So to kind of just give you guys a timeline of how crazy this week overall has been. Starting Monday, Tuesday, NBA holding conference calls with team doctors and officials. And the narrative, for the most part was that they're going to continue play in the NBA at least, but they would be suspending fans from attendance. Then you saw March Madness kind of follow up with the same thing, that no fans would be able to attend any of these games, which was disappointing, but at least that, necessary steps, and that the sports itself wasn't going to be taken away from us. And then Wednesday night through Thursday was just the worst.
Misery.
30 plus hours in a while for me. Driving over to the station, that night was probably the last night of fans attending games, and then you'd probably see kicking the next day or starting on Friday or Monday that fans would be suspended from attendance. Get out of my car, and the first thing I see is Oklahoma City and Utah Jazz game had completely been just stopped, suspended for an amount of time, and they had to wait for league confirmation to start the game. And I was like, what is going on? And then moments later to hear Rudy Gobert had tested positive, who is a center for the Utah Jazz, test positive for the coronavirus, was kind of just hit everybody. I think it was like, wow. And to go back 2 days before again, he was going around touching mics and whatnot as a joke, and in the locker room he was touching player belongings and other players as well, kind of being reckless. And then it inevitably led into Donovan Mitchell also getting the virus, but thankfully both of them are expected to make full recoveries and are healthy and are in stable condition. And also, Donovan Mitchell is the only player as of right now, only player in person as of right now that Rudy Gobert has infected. The Jazz, Celtics, Raptors, Knicks, Cavaliers, and Pistons all did test, and Donovan Mitchell's was the only one that came back positive. And again, thankfully, he will make a full recovery. And also, thankfully, none of those teams have players that tested positive. And I believe the league will make it mandatory for all these players to get tested. But for the most part, it seems like those were the only teams that really were at danger of getting the virus. So everyone should be good. And then you're also seeing March Madness just being canceled completely. NHL suspending play, MLB, Major League Baseball suspending play, and then also Major League Soccer suspending play as well. And kind of just shook everyone. I think yesterday was just one of the reasons why I didn't come here to do a show yesterday. Yesterday was just overall really couldn't say it on the radio, but now obviously I can. It was just a really shitty day overall. I didn't know what to feel. Just a lot of things going through people's minds. It just didn't feel real. Yesterday and the night before just kind of felt like the things you see out of movies. Basketball, NBA game being canceled, whole leagues being canceled, seeing schools be canceled, and now Las Vegas might shut down a few casinos here. and I truly believe that, school should follow suit to all these things here in Las Vegas, but we'll see what happens with that. But just it doesn't feel real overall. But thankfully, today, at least from my own research, I've seen a lot more good news than bad news. You're seeing players take generous acts and donating money to arena staff members who probably won't be getting paid at all by the arena. By all these arenas, I would assume over these next 30 to 50 days. So seeing players just unselfishly, there's no law or rule saying they have to do this, stepping in and donating their own money to help pay for these people's salaries over the next month. Is an amazing thing to see. And also all the other generous acts that people are doing around the sports world, and definitely puts a smile on your face. And also seeing, our country and other people take this virus more seriously and start protecting more people. You're seeing schools being canceled, national emergency being declared today, which I think is a little bit too late, but definitely a step in the right direction to help support these people. Hopefully the next thing is that everyone there's more test kits, so more people can get tested for the virus. But I think overall, sure, it's scary seeing all this stuff shut down and whatnot, but I think it's the necessary steps. I see a lot of people, it's if you're under 60 or 70, it's a 0.2% chance of you dying. If you're healthy and you don't have any medical issues, you'll be fine. Yeah, that is true, but also if we were to continue as normal, we're basically saying, for one, I know it's a very, very small number, but we're saying, for one, the 0.2% don't matter. Secondly, we're saying that people that have medical conditions don't matter. For one, I know at my high school, I know a good amount of kids that do have asthma, and asthma is one of those, falls into that group. If you do have asthma, your chances of dying from the coronavirus definitely do increase. And you're also saying elderly people above 61 or 65 or 70 years old, or whatever the age is, don't matter at all. So yeah, these definitely are necessary steps to help protect and save not just American lives, but lives all around the world. You're seeing Italy quarantine everybody. And also it was pretty cool to see that there's not a lot of pollution anymore around Italy since they've done this from satellite. So that was kind of neat to see. Also the cases are going down, and obviously when you quarantine people, less people are going to get infected because they're just staying inside their house and whatnot, and only leaving for essential reasons such as work or groceries or whatnot. You saw China do the same thing, and now China, school's back on next week, work's back on the next week. They're not completely out of the woods here, but it's starting to go back to normal, and it's definitely being contained a little bit more. South Korea has done an amazing job in handling the coronavirus. Making sure everyone gets tested and shutting everything down for a period of time definitely has helped them. And Canada had isolated the coronavirus. Report came out today, earlier on today. So definitely seeing a lot more good news today than bad news, and hopefully that just continues. And hopefully we as a country and people around the world continue to take this seriously, and hopefully a month from now, 30 to 29 days from now, this is a lot less serious. I believe it's hard to imagine that it'll just completely be gone by then, but hopefully by then it's a lot more contained, and we can get back to getting things to normal at least. Sorry, I've been talking for a while.
No, you're fine. No, definitely couldn't agree more with that. And I think first order of business is, before we get any of these leagues back underway, I'd like to see every one of these players and coaches and staff all tested, just to make sure.
Right.
I know NBA said a minimum of 30 days. I would say at that point, once you hit that 30-day mark, you bring everybody in, you have them tested.
One more time.
I believe they've even come up with a test now that is able to show results within 8 hours. So presumably you could have results that same day, depending on what time of you do the test, obviously. And I think you just do that out of precautionary, just to make sure nobody's caught this virus during this 30-day hiatus. Presuming nobody has caught this, then you can maybe entertain the idea of, I don't think you necessarily even have to jump, head first back into it. Maybe you start saying, okay, none of our players have it, none of our coaches have it, none of our staff have it. Let's try doing games just without fans
for a little bit.
and then ease yourself back into this. I get the urgency to get back on the court. Me and Joey obviously very itching at the fact that we're missing sports dearly and are probably going to be missing it for the next month. Given the only thing that's really going to be occurring is NFL free agency. Thankfully, that has not been canceled or postponed by the NFL. And then you look around all these other things, and really, I think one thing that I would like to see, and I would like to see this more nationwide, is all the school districts just cancel school.
Just a 2-3 week period.
Let's get this thing under control, because you think about all the different surfaces a student or even a facilitator, a teacher, whatnot, touch during the course of a school day, and typically you don't have time to disinfect that particular surface, such as a desk, a table, whatnot, in between class periods for like middle and high school students. You only get 4 or 5 minutes, and that's not enough time to wipe down 35 or 40 desks. And so obviously that increases your chance of getting sick, if not getting the coronavirus, just getting sick in general. You got teachers that are grading hundreds of papers, and
a lot of teachers fall in that elderly category.
Right,
as well.
you grading all these papers and handing them back to the students. That could be a way to get the disease, or not the disease, but I guess the virus, or like I said, just sick in general. And you got, like Joey said on the show, he brought up a pretty decent point that I hadn't really taken too much into account, but definitely kind of eye-opening. Not a lot of kids are really taking the steps to be a little bit more cautious. He said, you would expect a lot more kids, in between classes to try and, take advantage of using the bathroom to, if nothing else, wash their hands.
Yeah, for me personally, I've not seen, the bathrooms aren't clustered like I thought they would be, in between breaks from the times that I've, because I've been washing my hands in between every single passing period. And every time I've gone in there, it feels like a normal day. There may be a couple extra kids in there, but, it's not clustered or anything. So, you see a lot of kids. I'm not, I don't think a lot of these kids are carrying hand sanitizer with them either. Some people might be like, well, maybe they just have hand sanitizer on them.
Probably not.
Not every single kid, if you just tell a group of kids, especially the younger group, like elementary or middle school, like, oh, wash your hands, I don't think that's going to be running through their mind all day. Like, oh, the superintendent of the district told me to wash my hands.
Right.
So overall, me personally, I think that, a 2-3 week break, and I get that may push back graduation a week or two, because we have spring break also. So I'm counting spring break in this 2-3 week break as well. I think pushing back graduation 1 to 2 weeks, me personally, I wouldn't have a problem with, for the safety of not only the students but the educators within our system or within our school district as well. It amazes me how CCSD, we live again in Las Vegas, a international city where people from all over the world come in and travel. Obviously not right now because of the travel bans in place, but over the past month or 2 months ago, no one can look with me in a straight face and say people from Italy, Europe, or anywhere in Europe, anywhere in Asia, or Australia or wherever where you're seeing the virus become more popular, have not traveled to Las Vegas at all. So I think a 2-week suspension from school or 3-week suspension is completely necessary to ensure the safety of not only the students but a lot of the teachers. Because again, I keep getting reminded by this, it's a 0.2% mortality rate, but again, we can't just completely ignore the 0.2%. Also, the way more can't word it better, the other minority, I guess, the people that have medical conditions like asthma, and also our teachers. For example, I know a lot of teachers at Liberty, because I have a few teachers that are over the age of 60, 70 years old. So we just can't completely ignore them as well.
Yeah, and it's not I don't think it's necessarily the point of the mortality rate. Canceling school is to get the point across. We don't want this spreading, period.
Right.
We don't care what the mortality rate is. And to see all these other institutions, leagues, organizations, whatnot, be either A, postponed, or B, suspended, canceled, whatever you want to call it, and for schools to still remain open and operating outside of after school activities and whatnot, I think is pretty selfish on the school district's part. Call it what you want, but that's what I think it is.
And even last year, a snow day, They made a bunch of kids who have never driven in snow before go to school.
Right, and
And
then
thankfully, my parents let me stay home. But like that just shows you like
and then proceed to cancel school the next day when it's perfectly fine out.
right.
Like the roads are, drivable.
And again, it feels also like some responsibility should fall within the city and our own state government. The fact that Steve Sisolak or our own mayor is not pushing for schools to close is also a little disturbing to me. Also, I just think it's so funny. Kind of get into the funding of schools a little bit here, not to get too off topic, but I just think it's so funny how when we need a $2 billion football stadium, it's like that, or we need a brand funding for a new casino like that. But when it comes to taking care of our schools and our educators and our students, there's always some type of thing in the way or why it can't get done.
Yeah,
And just like now, I find it really hard to believe that they can't just step in and say, hey, CCSD, and hey, all the school districts in Nevada, because there's also a case up in northern Nevada of the coronavirus,
right,
or COVID-19, or whatever you want to call it. Call off school for 2-3 weeks, not only to protect your educators but to protect your students, and that's also helps stopping the spread of the virus overall. And the sooner we do this, is the sooner we return to life getting normal again. Again, you saw China and South Korea and Italy; they're taking these steps, and Italy's on the right path. You saw China now. Again, I think I already mentioned it, but kids are returning to school this week, and the Chinese basketball league is resuming play. People are now allowed to go back to work because they took these steps, and now people are allowed. China again may have done it too late as well, but at least they took the steps, nothing less, and now things are starting to proceed back to normal. South Korea, again, I think they've probably handled it the best out of anyone. Now things are starting to slowly but surely turn back to normal there, and those are the steps we have to take here.
Yeah, and for those that may be kind of on the fence about canceling school, especially somebody like the superintendent, I would advise them, if you don't cancel school, obviously today being Friday, if you don't cancel school for the next upcoming week, have them go to one of the schools on Monday, like a high school or something, and have them follow a student around, even for just half a day. It doesn't even have to be the full day. See how many things they touch or come in contact with or interact with. Look at the facilities at that school, such as the bathrooms, the lunchrooms, etc. And you tell me if it's actually sanitary to send your student there for 6 hours of the day, 7 hours of the day, however long it may be.
And again, I just want to, we're not calling out janitors or anything.
No, they do. They're doing everything they can.
They're doing everything they can, especially I know at Liberty, there's 2 or 3 of them.
Right.
They have a lot of things to worry about throughout the day, and I've seen some of the stuff they've had to clean up at Liberty High School this year. So we're not throwing janitors under the bus, because I know again there's 2 or 3 of them, and they got to clean a whole school. In which I like what Mr. Bello did at Liberty today, kicking kids off campus a little sooner so they can start working on cleaning the campus up a lot better. So I definitely applaud Mr. Bello for doing that. But yeah, like Matt's point, have the superintendent, use one of the stalls in the boys' bathroom.
I guarantee he doesn't use it.
Guarantee he doesn't use it, or just take a look around in the lunchroom or whatnot.
Yeah.
Maybe I doubt it'll open his eyes any at all, because again, didn't this guy buy a Pinto bike or whatever? Peloton bike. With school funding that cost $4,800.
Yeah, it's an expensive piece of equipment.
Yeah,
for sure.
So I mean that kind of just shows you the person our superintendent is anyway. So
yeah,
and he made kids go to school when it was snowing last year. Kids that have never driven in the snow, and also bus drivers. Probably a lot of them also have not drove in the snow as well. So
yeah, no, I think we're at the point it's just not possible to be able to disinfect everything in between classes like you'd want to. There's just not enough time to do so, which is why I think you just have to cancel school. And I think probably 3 weeks I think is probably appropriate, and you come back and you reevaluate at the end of the 3 weeks. If it has to be longer, then so be it. It has to be longer. If it's able to come back to school, then obviously resume operations. But I think just resuming school the way it is, and not really canceling anything, I think it just shows kind of arrogance and, carelessness towards something that is pretty serious, and that has, definitely affected not only our economy, but our country and, many countries around the world.
Yeah. But, to end on more of a positive note, you definitely like seeing all the kind gestures around the world, just not only in the sports world. you know, especially I saw a video earlier today in Italy. People all went out on their balcony at the same time. They started singing a very popular Italian song, which I just was kind of heartwarming overall, just to see those people over there standing strong over this quarantine. And in the United States as well, you know, again, seeing people do these kind gestures, seeing the NCAA grant these players extra eligibility for, you know, their years being cut short because of this disease. So you definitely like seeing things like that, and hopefully, you know, the kind gestures continue, and not only the American people, but just people all around the world, you know, keep in mind not to panic, and, you know, to stay strong, and obviously keep their hygiene up, and, you know, we're gonna get through this. This isn't a long-term thing, but if we want to get rid of it a lot sooner, we definitely need to take these steps, and I think that's the point me and Matt are trying to make. There's no need for panic at all, I don't think. But, you know, these steps are mandatory if we want to get back to normal life as soon as possible. And again, this is just a temporary, you know, thing. And, you know, hopefully within the next month or 2 months, we see things start going back to normal, and we get back to our regular day-to-day lives.
Yeah, couldn't have said it better myself. For those watching, and really just anybody in general, make sure you guys do stay safe. You know, do the little things right. Wash your hands. Obviously, keep appropriate hygiene up. Drink plenty of water. Just the little basic things, you know, to make sure that you are staying as healthy and safe as possible. And, you know, hopefully we'll have some more content coming up soon. Like I said, we do have some NFL free agency coming up in the next week. So if we get any news on that, we'll be sure to obviously produce an episode for you guys. But until then, make sure you guys stay safe. You know, stay as healthy as you can, and you know, make sure you keep that hygiene up, especially now, for sure. Got anything else?
Yeah, I mean, you just got to the end of the video, so now's a good time to put your phone down and go head up and, you know, go wash your hands. You know, wipe your phone down also too. Your phone carries a lot of germs with you throughout the day. That's something I've been doing as well. And you know, if you feel sick, obviously, you know, try and stay home. If you feel obviously really sick, then, you know, go seek medical attention. And again, we're all going to get through this. I think all of us are in this, are in this together. And you know, the goal is just to get back to, you know, the regular day in the life, and a month or so. And you know, I can't wait in a month, you know, when the Celtics get back and playing basketball, to see them disappoint me. You know, I think that'll bring a tear to my eye. You know, just taking that month off from the Celtics and their first game back, they'll be up by 20 points and they'll just completely collapse. And then you'll see the Clippers do the same thing. And then we'll just, you know, we'll be upset, but that's how you know that's how you know NBA basketball's back. Celtics and Clippers are just stinking it up. The Knicks, I'm sure, will still be terrible. And the Lakers and Bucks will be the front runners. And hopefully, you know, obviously, on a more serious note, Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert are back out there fully healthy as well.
Yeah, couldn't have said it better myself. Thanks, y'all, for watching. We will have more content in the coming days, hopefully. Thanks.